A line on a map can look thin, but it can decide how cheaply goods move, how reliably people cross, and how much opportunity reaches a place. That is the geography of wealth. Not geography as destiny, geography as a starting point, a set of advantages, constraints, and choices that shape what becomes possible. To understand why some places become powerful economic centers while others struggle to connect, we can follow one simple framework: map, mechanism, and money. First, the map. Where is a place located? Is it near a coast, a navigable river, a major market, or a useful corridor? Does it have mountains, deserts, long distances, or borders between the producer and the customer? The map does not write the final outcome, but it creates the starting conditions. A river can become a low-cost route into an inland market. A coastline can open access to ships, ports, and global trade. A mountain range can slow movement, raise construction costs, and force a road or railway through a narrow passage. A port, by itself, is only a location. Its economic power comes from what can connect to it. Add warehouses, roads, railways, factories, financial services, universities, and suppliers, and the port becomes something larger, an economic cluster. Businesses gather because access is already there. New businesses arrive because the first businesses have created demand, skills, infrastructure, and information. This is how location can become productivity. But a product rarely travels in a straight line from factory to customer. It moves through a chain of transfers, onto a truck, into a warehouse, onto a train, through a border, onto a ship, and eventually into another market. Every transfer creates a question. How much does it cost? How long does it take? Who has to approve it? What happens if the route is interrupted? Distance becomes more than miles. It becomes fuel, storage, paperwork, insurance, waiting time, and uncertainty. That is the mechanism. Consider a generic landlocked country. Its producers may be relatively close to a seaport in a straight line, yet the practical journey can be much longer. The route may pass through neighboring countries, several customs systems, different standards, and infrastructure that does not connect smoothly. The country is not simply far from the market. Its access depends on the reliability of the entire corridor. A border, then, is not just a line. It is a filter. Goods may move through quickly. Workers may face different rules. Capital may require approval. Data may cross digitally, while physical products remain delayed at a checkpoint. Borders can protect security, raise standards, and support public goals. But every restriction also creates a trade-off. A slower crossing can reduce risk in one way while raising costs in another. A more open route can speed commerce while demanding stronger coordination and oversight. The important question is not whether a border is open or closed. The question is what the border allows, what it slows, and how predictable the rules are. Predictability matters because businesses make decisions before a shipment moves. If delivery times are uncertain, companies hold more inventory. If permits change without warning, investment becomes harder to justify. If a route depends on one fragile checkpoint, an entire supply chain carries that risk. Uncertainty also changes who is willing to participate. A large company may be able to absorb a delay, heap extra goods in storage, or hire specialists to navigate complex rules. A small producer often cannot. For that producer, friction is not an inconvenience around the edges of the business. It can determine whether reaching a larger market is possible at all. This is why two places with similar physical locations can experience very different economic outcomes. One may convert access into dependable movement. The other may be trapped in delays, duplication, and uncertainty. And this is where geography begins to connect with power. A country that controls a useful route, port, canal, pipeline, or digital connection can influence the choices of others. A choke point does not need to be large to matter. It only needs to sit between important markets. Control over access can create revenue. It can create leverage. It can also create vulnerability, because the more a system depends on one route, the more damaging disruption becomes. But access alone does not guarantee broad prosperity. A resource-rich place may export oil, minerals, or agricultural products and still struggle to build a diversified economy. Revenue can flow from an extraction site into a government budget without creating a wide network of suppliers, skills, and productive industries. When commodity prices rise, income rises. When prices fall, budgets, jobs, and household purchasing power can fall with them. This is the difference between resource wealth and broad wealth. Broad wealth is built when access creates many productive connections: manufacturing, services, education, finance, research, and trade. It is built when more people and more businesses can participate in the value created by a location. Diversification matters because it turns one advantage into several capabilities. It also creates resilience. If one export weakens, another industry can continue hiring, investing, and supplying the domestic economy. If one route closes, a network of roads, railways, ports, and digital links can provide alternatives. The goal is not to eliminate every risk. It is to avoid allowing one resource, one customer, or one corridor to control the entire economic future. Geography can impose constraints, but constraints can be reduced. A mountain route can become a railway. A difficult crossing can become an automated customs system. A remote economy can connect through airports, fiber optic cables, digital services, and high-value manufacturing. A port can expand, not only by adding cranes, but by improving the roads, institutions, skills, and businesses around it. Institutions change the practical map. The physical coastline may remain the same, but the economic distance can shrink. A reliable agreement can make a border feel closer. Better infrastructure can make a mountain less isolating. Clear rules can make an investment less risky. Digital access can allow some services to travel without a container at all. This is why infrastructure should be understood as more than concrete and steel. It is a system of trust. A road matters when it connects to another road. A port matters when customs, rail, finance, and information systems work with it. A broadband connection matters when people have the skills and institutions to use it productively. So, when we ask why some countries become richer, the answer is rarely one feature on a map. The better questions are these. Can the place reach markets cheaply? Is crossing predictable? And does access create productivity? Or does it simply move raw materials out and money through a narrow channel? Those three questions bring us back to the full framework. Location creates a starting point. Connection determines how much of that location can be used. Productivity determines whether access becomes lasting prosperity. the map matters. But the map is not the conclusion. The real story is what people, institutions, and businesses build across it. The routes they connect, the friction they remove, and the productive networks they create. That is why the geography of wealth is not a story about lucky places and unlucky places. It is a story about access, friction, and power, and about how a line on a map can become a bridge, a barrier, or a source of influence. If you want to keep exploring the forces that shape the world economy, subscribe to Atlas Insights. And in the comments, name one country whose geography you think matters most, and explain why.